So what's good, TMG fam? It's your boy L, and I'm back with another reaction. How y'all feel? Welcome back to the channel. Salute. Man, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this. Is it 20 foods you are not allowed to eat in the USA? 20 foods? Man, I love to eat, bro. I love to eat. It's a certain sense of joy I get, you know what I mean? For a good meal or a good restaurant or one of your favorite spots to slide to when there ain't nobody paying attention. You know, you sneak there when you're not supposed to be there. So you telling me it's 20 foods I'm not allowed to eat? Did I already not eat them? Then that may be cool. But if it was something that I enjoyed and you taking it away from me or reminding me of something, you know what I mean? This may be tough. This may or may not be tough. So we're going to get into it. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and prepare yourself. Let's go.
The home of the brave, the land of the free, the country of forbidden goods.
What's that?
Okay, the last one I just made up, but it's accurate. There's a lot of food and drink that Americans are just not allowed to eat. But
I don't know what what I would do if I couldn't eat like wings no more, like some good wings, man, like maybe some lemon pepper or some hot or some mild or some barbecue. Like, I don't know what I'd do, man.
we're gonna look at them anyway. From a rich person's treat to the ultimate energy drink, let's take a closer look at 20 foods you are not allowed to eat in the USA. Number 20. Sturgeon caviar.
Wow. Never had it before, so all right, we're starting off to a good start. Caviar, I never had it. I guess that's the rich man's meal or rich people food or whatever. I guess I ain't made it there yet.
Unless you're super rich, it's unlikely that you're going to be buying anybody caviar for Christmas. But if you are...
Whoa. Is that where caviar comes from? What is he skeeting out? Is that what caviar? I didn't need to see that.
That you're going to be buying anybody caviar for Christmas. But if you are one of those super rich caviar gifters, you'll probably know that there's one kind of caviar that is off limits. Guess money really can't buy you happiness. Or sturgeon caviar. All over the world, sturgeon are on the brink of going extinct, and it's all thanks to this very delicious and costly delicacy.
So it's fish, is that fish eggs? Is that what caviar? I don't know, bro. I've never had any interest in caviar. Just hear it when you watching like a rich scene or in a movie or something like that. But
while it's perfectly legal to fish sturgeon, many countries worldwide regulate it. But that doesn't exactly solve the problem. I mean, the illegal trade exists for a reason, right? Still, it's a delicacy that's unavailable for purchase throughout the United States, who are apparently hoping for a significant rebound in the population numbers for everybody's favorite caviar fish. Sure, illegal activities are going on, but the caviar is still being sold on the underground caviar market. But hey, you kind of have to expect that when you outlaw something. Today, the WWF recommends against purchasing any kind of caviar from wild sturgeon, arguing that it's doing nothing but speeding up the extinction of a beautiful species. But if there's one thing we can guarantee, it's that the rich people of the world will look at this warning and give a very expensive shrug.
Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping.
And I ain't trying to look down on nobody, because I'm pretty sure some stuff, a lot of things I probably eat that if I saw it like that, then I probably would stop eating. So yeah, that was just, whew.
Number 19, For Loco.
Oh.
Some have long claimed that...
Whew. I remember when those hit the shelves, bro. Thank gosh. I may have had maybe one or two, maybe. That was it. Like, that was it.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, but the people behind Four Loco will probably disagree with that, given that their product was publicly shamed by a government agency and eventually taken off the market. Still, great marketing, right? The original Four Loco drink famously mixed caffeine with alcohol, providing an energy high unlike any other, but then on November 17, 2010, the US Food and Drug Administration issued a warning letter.
I don't even remember the experience. I know they weren't, it was bad, but I can't even remember. That's how crazy that drink will have you.
To the company saying that the caffeine was an unsafe food additive. The company behind Four Loco, Fusion Projects, was told that their product could be seized under federal law if they didn't change the recipe. Apparently, a recent FDA study had found that the caffeine was masking some of the cues people would rely on to determine how intoxicated they were, and if people can't figure out how drunk they are, well, I think we know the dangers of that. The ban led to a surprising black market of Four Loco products online, which apparently made some people quite a lot of money. But by December 2010, the company was forced to completely change its recipe to stay in business. Today, it's no longer marketed as an energy drink. Well, probably not everywhere. I imagine the black market is still pretty active. Who knows?
Oh, so you could still get them? I hadn't seen a Four Loco in years. Years. I didn't even know it was a way you could still. Don't get me wrong, I don't want nothing. So don't nobody go sending me nothing. Nah, I don't even want nothing. Nope.
Number 18, Tonka Beans. Chefs and artists, they create intricate works of art that we can see, smell, taste, and some ingredients are just so fascinating and thrilling that every chef wants to use them for their art, unless of course they happen to be illegal. The Tonka bean is a flat, wrinkled legume native to South America. But that's kind of irrelevant because it's illegal to consume throughout the United States, according to the US government anyway. If you happen to find yourself in the right restaurant, you may have the opportunity to get a bite of this very illegal flavor. The reason for the ban comes down to a chemical compound found within the bean, coumarin. All foods containing this compound are considered to be adulterated and have been illegal since 1954. Tonka beans, of course, are a big source of coumarin, so are cinnamon, lavender, licorice, and a bunch of other plants that aren't illegal. Ah, the law, so consistent. In fact, the Tonka bean is pretty harmless if you eat it sensibly. You need to eat an unimaginable amount of the bean to fall ill, at least 30 entire beans, but in restaurants, the shavings of a single bean are enough for 80 plates. So unless you have a bottomless stomach and wallet, you're probably gonna be just fine. Number 17, mustard oil. What the hell is mustard oil? Most of us living here in the West may not be familiar with this ingredient. Still, those living in India will be very familiar with it, or at least they were familiar with it. Mustard oil has long been a popular choice of cooking oil for millions of Indians. But, like many other products, it's recently gone through a change in the recipe. In 1990, the Union Health Ministry decided to blend edible vegetable oils with mustard oil, but by 1998, many North Indian states witnessed the dropsy endemic, which saw 60 people die and 3,000 hospitalized. The research claimed it was all down to this uniquely hybrid mustard oil. From this point on, the government began a campaign against eating the oil, but none of them actually did anything about it because, well, you know, profit and everything. Then the pandemic changed everything. On March 31st, 2021, India's Food Safety and Standards Authority decided to end the practice for good, banning the addition of other edible oils to mustard oils. Did that have any kind of impact on the health of Indians all over the country? Did that have any kind of impact on the health of Indians all over the country? Well, that we don't really know, but hey, can't hurt. Number 16, Chilean Sea Bass. One of the biggest problems facing the fishing industry worldwide is also the most obvious: overfishing. At some point, there are just too many people fishing in the same waters. So what's the best solution for overfishing? According to governments all over the world, it's an immediate and uncompromising ban. Okay, maybe it's not a ban per se, but it's still a pretty strict series of rules and regulations designed to protect the species from extinction. After seeing the effects of overfishing, the US government put the FDA on the case. Today, only certified Chilean sea bass fishing boats are allowed to harvest and sell this unique species, and the numbers are heavily regulated, so it's not exactly easy to just get in there and start fishing. But
now it's making me want it. Anybody else that's like, I could really go for some sea bass. Hadn't to eat sea bass probably none last year, but now all of a sudden I'm thinking, where can I possibly go find sea bass now? See what this is doing to me?
But before you start assuming that this is some kind of a unique US overreach, it's more of a global effort. 24 other countries have joined the US to either ban the Chilean sea bass or regulate its export. Either way, it's not the easiest fish in the world to get a taste of, unless of course you happen to be in the right place at the right time, in which case, congratulations, you just proved us completely wrong. Number 15. Pig's blood cake. We are now flying all the way over to Taiwan, where local chefs have crafted a delicacy that is controversial, shall we say. Sure, the English may have their blood sausage, and that's gross, but the Taiwanese decided to take it a little further and make a blood cake. The pig's blood cake is a street food delicacy that can be best summed up like this. It's a combination of steamed pork blood and sticky rice coated in peanut powder and coriander, and served with dipping sauces. If any of that sounds delicious to you, more power to you, I guess. Or to your stomach at least. However, if you don't live—
That just looked like blood chunks. Look at that. Just chunky.
Live in Taiwan, good luck finding one of these things. The delicacy was banned in the US pretty quick. The Department of Agriculture immediately announced a ban just as soon as it was found on American shores. No reason was ever given for the ban, but I imagine it was probably something along the lines of, "Good lord, that thing is gross." Kinda hard to disagree with that, but hey, if it's something you're into, good for you. However, the Taiwanese government wasn't happy with the ban, believing it to be an attack on their local culture. Just wait until they see what Americans eat. Number 14. Shark fins. It sounds like an insane thing to say, but yeah, some people actually do have a desire to eat shark fins. I don't know who was the first to take a bite, but I'd take an educated guess and say they're probably not with us any longer. Shark fins are most commonly found in shark fin soup, a luxury delicacy typically found in Asian cuisine. For those of you who are curious, shark fin doesn't taste like anything. It's actually flavorless, with a kind of gelatinous, sinewy texture. Doesn't sound great, does it? Well, on June 18th, 2021, the United States Senate seemed to agree, officially passing a bill that bans the sale of shark fins anywhere in the United States. So if you were hoping to get a taste of that flavorless, textureless piece of muscle, you're out of luck, I'm afraid. However, you can eat a piece of polystyrene and probably get the same effect. Of course, nobody should really eat sharks. The mercury levels within the shark's meat are insanely high, usually far above legal maximum amount, but who'd have thought that even in death, sharks are capable of inflicting a massive amount of fatal pain upon humans. Impressive work. Number 13. Absinthe. Is absinthe legal or is it illegal? The answer is a little more complicated than simply saying one way or another, but throughout history, the arrow has swung from one to the other. Let's dive into it a little, shall we? Absinthe is a highly alcoholic drink that was once believed to induce intense hallucinations. All of that comes down to the—
Oh, no. Why would I? No, I was sitting here like, what is that? I'm good. I don't need to know no more about it.
The drink's ingredients, a collection of herbs including wormwood. The wormwood actually drove the government to ban the drink entirely, until the ban was overturned in 1997, albeit with some strict regulations. Today, the FDA strictly regulates any and all absinthe sales, demanding that they contain less than 100 parts per million of thujone, a toxic chemical typically found in wormwood. If the drink contains any more of the chemical, it's illegal to sell within the United States. Of course, criminals don't tend to care about the law, so yeah. Absinthe is still legal in many places around the world, with over 200 brands being produced in a dozen countries all over Europe, because if ever there was a place where getting high and hallucinating was encouraged, it's gonna be in Europe, right? Number 12. Sassafras Oil. I have no way of knowing how many root beer connoisseurs we have watching today, but if you're one of those older fans, or you have an older relative who pulls the old "root beer ain't what it was" routine, they're not losing their mind. During the early days of root beer and teas, there was a popular ingredient in the recipes known as sassafras oil. Then in the 1960s, the FDA came along and changed everything. It turns out that there was a compound in sassafras called safrole. The FDA's studies found that safrole was a carcinogen and was proven to contribute to developing cancers. When the news came out, root beer manufacturers began removing sassafras oil from their production process, altering the taste but presumably preventing many people from untimely deaths. The only problem is that safrole hasn't gone away entirely. In fact, it's still around and can be found in the very popular and very illegal drug known today as MDMA. Meanwhile, root beer manufacturers are still out there trying to perfect safrole-free sassafras, hoping to get back to that original flavoring, but some scientists remain skeptical, claiming that even safrole-free sassafras can increase the risk of life-threatening tumors. Man, we just can't enjoy anything without the risk of death, huh? Number 11. Redfish. It's amazing how one chef can create a dish that revolutionizes the cultural food landscape. And no, that's not really an understatement. Meet Paul Prudhomme, a legendary New Orleans chef that made a fish so good it almost wiped out an entire species. Not kidding. In 1980, Chef Prudhomme publicized his latest creation, a recipe for blackened redfish. Some people decided to try it out for themselves and were so stunned by the delicious flavor that they told more people, and those people told people, and before you knew it, half of the United States knew all about this incredible recipe and just had to try.
So now I'm gonna be on some, when you go somewhere, eat something that's been around. Don't try nothing new. Nah, we just created this dish and added it to the menu. Nope. You gotta give it some years and some tests before.
Try it for themselves. Pretty soon redfish was listed on the endangered species list, all because of one delicious fish. The situation got so bad that, in 1986, the US Commerce Department forced redfish fisheries to close down entirely, just to make sure the fish could recover. Today...
Oh, they meant... I thought it was of people eating it. I was about to say, yo... You know what I mean? Because I'm about to go out of town soon. And you know, when you go out of town, you be like, you want to experience and try new things. They was about to ruin it for me.
However, redfish remains a forbidden meal. It's illegal to eat redfish in any US state except for Mississippi. I'm not sure why Mississippi is the lone exception to the rule, but hey, has the US law ever made sense? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say not really. Number 10. Fugu. Do you remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer eats the poisonous fish and is told he has 24 hours to live? Well, while most of the things that happen on the show are, a little bit out there, that one is actually very realistic. You can learn a lot from The Simpsons. The fish in question was the Japanese pufferfish, also known as fugu. This Japanese delicacy is well known to sushi fans, but it's not exactly a mainstream treat. In fact, it's banned in most places around the world, including most of the US and the entirety of the European Union, so good luck finding one. You see, while many people consider the fish to be delicious, it's the skin and some of the organs within that are truly toxic. as they contain an extremely fatal poison called tetrodotoxin. When consumed by humans, tetrodotoxin can lead to paralysis or death, even if it's just a small bite. That's why even in places where the fish is legal, it can only be prepared by those with a license. If the fish...
So, with all these other fish out here, why we gotta flirt with death? Like, I don't understand it. It's so many other different fish, bro. Why we need this one in the rotation? Why?
Is cleaned even slightly incorrectly, it's potentially game over. So I guess if Fugu really is dangerous, can you imagine how many people have also done Sideshow Bob's rake walking routine? Number 9. Pomek. Welcome to Sweden, home of IKEA, ABBA, and the works of Ingmar Bergman, but it's also home to something even more delicious, Pomek. This is a unique Swedish soda that you can't find anywhere else, which is a shame because it's basically alcohol without the alcohol. To be more specific, Pomek is basically a non-alcoholic champagne-flavored soda. The drink is made by combining the juices of fruits and berries, a mixture which is then matured in oak barrels for 3 months. Yeah, this is a soft drink matured like wine. Can you imagine what would happen if you put Coca-Cola in an oak barrel? That stuff's like battery acid. It would just burn right through. Pomek was originally made for the Swedish upper classes as an alcohol-free substitute for alcoholic drinks like wine. Still, it's since become a wonderful treat for the whole country. For those of you who don't live in Sweden, I'm sure you're thinking about trying to make your own, right? I wouldn't bother though. Actually, the recipe has been kept secret since its original creation. So if you're not interested in getting wasted on wine or champagne, you'll just have to keep gulping down that tap water. Or if you don't mind losing your teeth or burning through your internal organs, cola. Number 8. Authentic Italian meats. I expect some people will be pretty unhappy with this one. After all, you probably see salami or prosciutto every day at your local deli.
Exactly. Salami, what's the other one? Like capricola? Is that the one? I don't know, man. When I go to try to make me like an Italian sandwich. Oh, man.
Right? Well, I'm sorry to say it, my friends, but those aren't authentic Italian meats. Because you're not in Italy, unless you are, in which case, you know, carry on. Due to the complicated import-export requirements, all of those meats you see in the deli are American-made. However, some meats were just straight-up banned for a while, like culatello. This cured meat was banned from the US for decades. Eventually, in 1989, the US government decided that it was harmless and unlikely to start a nuclear war, and reversed the ban, and since then American farmers have been making their own versions of culatello, with some people claiming that it's better than the Italian original. Somewhere you can hear an Italian losing his mind. The original reason for banning culatello was actually health-related. In the 1970s, a swine disease outbreak led to many types of meat being banned, including this funky taste in little number. But rest assured, even during this never-ending pandemic, you're now free to head to your local deli or butcher's and enjoy a delicious bite of culatello. I'm sorry to remind you of this, but just remember that it's not authentic. Number 7. Horse meat. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse, says the old friend.
And that's as far as I've ever went. Just the same. Never have had, tried, or thought about even horse meat. Or maybe I might have and just didn't know it. Maybe that's the king. Maybe I didn't know it.
That hungry you couldn't actually eat a horse. Not that I think you don't have the appetite. I mean, practically it's probably very difficult to find a horse you would be allowed to eat, because it's illegal. Well, kind of. In the United States, it's pretty much legal to eat almost any meat you happen to find, from rabbit to squirrel and even raccoons. But the laws are a little murkier when it comes to horses, varying from state to state. You see, while it's illegal to sell horse meat in all 50 states, many states say it's totally fine to slaughter your horse for meat. US law, eh? Nothing quite like it, but while it may be legal in places, it doesn't mean it's encouraged. In 2007, the last 3 horse slaughterhouses in the US were officially shut down, making it all but impossible to buy horse meat or order it in a restaurant. And even today, animal rights activists are still pushing for stricter regulations, hoping to completely outlaw the slaughter and consumption of horses. Who knows whether they'll succeed, but I'm sure the horses are thrilled that people in Congress are talking about them again. Number 6. Vegemite. Australians rejoice! We're about to discuss what may just be one of the most divisive foods on Earth, but is it banned in the United States? Well, that's a claim that's been going around since 2006, but it's not entirely true. In 2006, an Australian newspaper claimed that Vegemite had been banned in the United States. But it didn't just end there. The story went on to suggest that Australians entering the country were being searched for the illicit substance. Apparently, Vegemite contains folate, which is an adhesive used in many products in the United States, so the claims of a ban didn't make sense. However, it is true that you may not be able to taste the product in the United States unless you really seek it out. Since its invention, Vegemite hasn't been popular in the US, mostly because of its overly bitter taste. However, if you're somebody who's able to seek out a store that stocks imported items, you may just be in luck. Or if you're somebody that lives with the rest of us in the present day, you could just order some online. Either way, just be sure to ask an Australian for tips on how to correctly consume Vegemite. Apparently, there's a way to make it taste great, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a total myth. Number 5. Queen Conch. Yeah, it's number 5 on this list, but Queen Conch is number 1 on my mental list of best band names. In this case, the Queen Conch is a curious little sea creature that, in some cultures, is recognized as delicacy, but not in the United States of America. If you're a foodie visiting the Caribbean, you're probably going to encounter the Queen Conch at some point. After all, it's one of the most popular delicacies in the region, and at one time, it was also pretty popular in the Florida Keys. Not anymore though. Pre-1970s, the Queen Conch was so popular that it had created a whole industry in the form of conch fisheries. But by the 1970s, that same industry collapsed due to overfishing, a common problem for many in the fishing industry. Too many hooks, not enough fish. That dramatic collapse of an entire industry forced Florida officials to take immediate and drastic action. They ordered a complete ban on the commercial or recreation harvest of Queen Conch in the state. So if you happen to be looking to get a bite of Queen Conch, you might want to hop a plane to the Caribbean, because you're sure as heck not gonna taste it in the United States. Number 4. Swan cheese. If you're lactose intolerant, you may want to look away now. If you think regular cheese is bad, just wait until you see the Swan cheese, a dairy product so risky that it gave the USDA a heck of a lot of anxiety. According to cheese experts, yeah, those do exist. Swan cheese is basically the ambassador of the stinky French cheese. This person goes on to describe the smell as like your 15-year-old son's socks after a baseball game, but in a nice way. Yeah, sure. While Swan cheese is beloved in France and other European regions, it's totally banned in the USA. That's because Swan cheese is an unpasteurized raw milk cheese that's less than 60 days old, which creates a lot of concerns in the USDA.
I thought it looked like it was like curdling, like, you know what I mean, like spoiled looking.
According to them, dairy products like this could easily be infected with listeria. And if that's the case, you're looking at a pretty awful outbreak of a bacterial illness that isn't fun. If you think lactose intolerance is rough, ugh. Some companies import some FDA-approved pasteurized pois, which apparently comes close to the original taste and disgusting-sounding smell of the cheese. But if you're a cheese lover looking to sample the ultimate stinky cheese, you're out of luck. Unless you're willing to travel halfway around the world to taste some sweaty sock-smelling cheese. Whatever floats your boat, man. Number 3. Swan. Humans eat all manner of birds. Chicken, duck, pigeon, if you're fancy and or rich anyway, but there's one bird that seems to be off limits to just about everybody. Swan. Which is interesting considering swans are jerks and by far the worst birds on the planet. Still, swans can be found in temperate climates all over the world, from the US to the UK and even farther afield. So if they're so readily available and nobody likes them, why are they not on the menu? Well, the answer is they're an endangered species, or at least that's the reason in the United States. If you happen to live in the UK, there's a more interesting reason. The Queen kind of owns them all. Whether or not she ever actually eats swan, well, that's just something we'll never know. But if you're an American, it doesn't matter anyway because you're just straight up never gonna eat a swan. Again, swans are the worst birds on the planet, so it's fascinating that they're not more readily eaten. But hey, if they're endangered, they deserve to be protected to survive, even if they are ungrateful, hyper-aggressive, and generally unpleasant to encounter in just about every single situation imaginable. But hey, no hard feelings. Number 2. Flamin Hot Cheetos.
What? Uh-oh.
Okay, so Flamin' Hot Cheetos aren't necessarily banned. I mean, you can still find them if you're really craving some spicy, cheesy goodness, but how easy they are to find depends very much on where you live. Or
That's because that dude got them all. You see his closet?
But how easy they are to find depends very much on where you live. Or more specifically, where you go.
Oh my god.
Since 2012, some school districts in California, New Mexico, and Illinois have banned Flamin' Hot Cheetos entirely. The reason? They're apparently not nutritious, which, let's be honest, is obvious, and some believe they may create a brain response similar to what is seen in individuals who are addicted to illicit substances, which is kind of a stretch, but hey, these are people who work on behalf of schools, and as we all know, you can't get a job like that if you're stupid, right? Right? Okay, maybe I'm wrong about that, but still, it's not a total ban, and there's a reason for that. The FDA just doesn't want to get involved. After all, it's kind of an unwinnable situation. You don't want to ban a snack food that everybody with half a brain knows isn't healthy, but you also don't want to undermine the school boards who allegedly bribe you to make questionable decisions. It's all one big endless loop of dilemma. Number 1. Silver Drudges. Did you know that it's actually illegal to add silver to your food? In 1906, silver was officially banned as a food coloring additive. However, it's still perfectly legal to use silver drudges as food decoration, so long as you don't actually consume them. Try and make sense of that one. Silver drudges is the official name of those little bead-like silver sparkles you usually put on top of cupcakes and other baked treats, but according to the FDA regulations, they're totally fine for decoration, just not consumption. Because as it turns out, these tiny beads are coated in genuine silver, and when they became popular in the 1970s, the FDA just couldn't seem to shut them down. So they compromised by saying they're fine to use, they just can't be eaten, which is a little like saying you can paint with all the colors, but people can never look at the finished work of art. However, a lawsuit in 2003 actually ended with the total ban of silver drudges in California after they were proven to potentially cause argyria, a condition that turns the skin gray. Of course, that only happens if you consume an unthinkable amount of silver, so just don't pop silver drudges like they're Tic Tacs, and you should be perfectly fine. Have you tasted any of these forbidden foods? What?
Unfortunately, yes, but this list wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, man. You know what I mean? Some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff on here, I have never had or desire to even try. It wasn't bad. So a few things on here, but overall, I'm still in the good. Now, I still gotta eat healthier this year than I did last year. And I took a step forward last year to do better. So this year is definitely eat healthier than last year. You know, not trying to put too much on my plate, but trying to do better than I did last year. So, but y'all get at me in the comment section, man. How much of this stuff affects you that you eat, that you eat often, that is now like taken from you? How you feel about it? You know what I mean? Are you still low-key sneaking and getting it, or have you just moved on? Let me know in the comment section, man. All right, shout outs to all the foodies like myself, and stick around and stay tuned, man. Till the next reaction, I'm gone. Peace.